Hello, my name is Urilisa Torrealba, and today I will be doing a presentation for breaking the ice and establishing the initial report needed for a sales call. An overview of our presentation today will be to define what report is, explain the importance of building a report in a sales call, examine different ways to establish report. We will do an interactive quiz/scenario to give some real-world examples, and then we will recap everything that we've learned. A little bit of a background about myself. I am a dairy science, animal sciences student that will be graduating in May, and I have been to a lot of dairy farms and have also shadowed quite a few sales professionals in the industry that sell different products, from calf milk replacer to artificial insemination products. So I've essentially been able to shadow many different industry professionals and kind of see how they build up when they come on the farm, and essentially how they kind of tailor the different prospective clients to kind of meet their goals, and also how to create that initial communication, because there's a lot of people that are not very receptive in agriculture. So let's get started. Our definition of report, according to the Business Dictionary, is a positive or close relationship between people that often involves mutual trust, understanding, and attention. Those that develop rapport often have realized that they have similar interests, values, knowledge, or behavior. Now, why is rapport important? Why can't we just go up to a person and just ask them if they are willing to buy your product? And the reason that rapport is important is because a good amount of the time sales calls will consist of potential clients that you don't know, that you've never met before. So it's important to build trust and essentially common ground with your clients in order to build up to that, sale. It also sets a strong precedent for the relationship moving forward. We're all human beings, and we want to be able to connect with one another, and no one has a reason to buy any of your products if they don't have a relationship with you, especially if they are already buying a product from your competitor. So it's really important to kind of establish a good relationship, and just, like I said, build trust with the client. So there's quite a few different methods to establishing rapport, and some of them include personal, educational, and business. So it's a little bit different. During each sales call, you're always going to want to build rapport, regardless if you've either met the person before briefly, or if they're a complete stranger. Essentially just that continuing to establish that prolonged, fundamental basis in the relationship. So like I said, even if you've known them from before and you're maybe just selling them a new product, even though they're already an established customer, it's really important to continue having and solidifying that relationship. So some methods include a personal way to establish rapport, and that includes asking about their family or their personal life. And like I said, this is mostly a method that's going to be used if you already know your client. So an example of this is asking, "Hey, how's the family doing? I heard your daughter recently graduated," and just kind of going from there and stimulating that you care about their personal life before you kind of do your sales pitch, just so that everyone can get comfortable and that it's not always just about business. At the end of the day, you are there to sell a product and to promote your business, but we're all human beings and we want to make sure that it's not just about money. A different method is also an educational method. So this one's going to be tailored mostly towards clients that you have never met before and you're trying to find that common ground with them. So, for example, this is like finding common ground about where they went to school or what they studied. So, if you didn't go to the same university as them, maybe you can look up what their major was and try to stem your conversation from that. And an example of this is, for example, if someone went to the University of Florida like I did, I would kind of say, hey, I was a Gator grad too, and kind of ask them what their favorite memory from UF was, and kind of try to reminisce on some college times, maybe talk about Gator football, or some of the things that maybe we didn't always love about the University of Florida, but essentially just to kind of build that relationship and feel like we can relate to one another on a certain level. And one of the other methods to establishing rapport that I wanted to discuss is the business method. And this one covers speaking about relevant knowledge within the customer's industry. And I left this example for blank mostly due to because there's an unlimited amount of options, including, so for example, I work within the dairy industry, so it's kind of maybe something like discussing if milk prices have increased, which would be very nice within the dairy industry. So just kind of saying, hey, you know, prices have gone up. What do you think about that? How has it impacted your business, and what are some of your goals moving forward with the recent milk price changes? Now, some example questions also that you could use, and this is courtesy of Mike Schultz, which is the president of Rain Group, which is a sales company that he provided, are what's going on in your business these days? How have things changed? Another great example question that you can use for your sales call is, it was good to hear the short version of your background at the meeting, but since we're out for lunch and have the time, I'd love to get the long version. What's your story? And this is going to be a little bit more relevant towards, you know, if you are at a conference and hear someone speak and then you make them your potential client. This is a great way to kind of segue into building that rapport. Another example question is, I have to say, I really like the way you not only have your company values up on the wall, but also comments from your team about what the values mean to them. How did you come up with that? I'm guessing you learned a lot about your company and team. Anything stand out? And so this is great to kind of get an inside idea of someone and their values, and essentially, again, building that constant rapport. And another example question is, you mentioned you want to retire in a few years. What are you thinking of doing then? And this is for sure definitely kind of a great segue for older customers, and just if you're going to be selling to a company, just kind of seeing the longevity of that business as well. So now let's discuss a few scenario examples. So essentially, if you're coming onto a sales call, or you're visiting a farm, or you're sitting down having lunch with someone, we're going to make up a few scenarios and kind of run with them and see how, depending on what's going on, how we can build rapport from there. And like I said, some customers will be a lot easier to build rapport with than others, just based on attitude, goals that are aligned. So the first scenario is, I am a sales representative for a calf milk replacer product. The manager / owner is an old school dairy farmer who is very much so skeptical of outsiders. And essentially me, I would be a newly grad who did not grow up on a dairy farm, but I did study dairy science. And so this is actually a situation that I have a lot of experience with firsthand, and essentially I would respectfully come up to the manager owner at the farm beforehand having set up a time to meet with them, and just kind of talk a little bit about myself and kind of explain that, you know, although I didn't grow up on a dairy farm, I would kind of compliment their farm in some method and ask them what some of their goals are, and try to segue into speaking of the different professionals that I know. And I've toured a lot of different dairy farms across the country, so just kind of try and talk about other people, other dairy farm managers and owners around the area, to kind of show him that, hey, I am serious, even though I'm young and don't necessarily come from a dairy background, that I'm still very knowledgeable and I'm very interested in being a positive impact in the dairy industry, and kind of earn my respect that way. Like I said, by showing him that I do have a lot of experience, and even though most of my experience has been taught from a classroom and other professors, just kind of show that I am very serious about helping him improve his herd somehow. A second scenario would have me being a Purina representative for domestic animals. So this is just kind of selling like the Purina Pro Plan diets, essentially like domesticated cat and dog food. And in this scenario, the manager / owner is extremely receptive. She's a new owner and a long practicing veterinarian who has just opened up her own practice and would really like to implement some change. And in this scenario, I am an experienced veterinary technician. I would just approach the manager or owner at a sit-down call and ask them, how their day is doing, ask them a little bit about the goals for their practice, and kind of bring up casually that I have been a veterinary technician for many years prior to taking this job with Purina. Explain to them that I actually feed Purina to my own animals, and explain the benefits of all of the different Purina diets that are available, especially their prescription diets. And like I said, just kind of build that rapport just on the fact that we have both been in the same private practice setting in the past, just to kind of make them more comfortable talking to me, and so when I bring up ideas about the products that I want to sell, they're able to be more receptive and feel like I do have a sense of what it's like to be in their shoes as well. So now that we've recapped essentially the importance of having rapport in a sales call, because it initially builds that trust and strengthens that relationship between client and customer, salesperson and client / customer. And we've discussed some questions, regarding rapport that you can use, the different methods of rapport that can also be used, as well as looking at some scenarios. Go out there, be great, and build that rapport and sell your product. Good luck.